Okay, this is Nick Kemp. I'm with Rich Liotta, and we're talking about the Research and Recognition Project for NLP. So, let me ask you a real blunt question. Why should anybody be bothered about this?
In terms of who?
In terms of NLP folk, why is it important that there is research done and there is recognition for that?
Basically, well, I'm a psychologist, first of all. I've gotten involved with NLP many years ago, also Ericksonian hypnosis, which what I would say is a related technology. Why people should care is that NLP has very effective ways of intervening and assisting people with PTSD and various problems. You know, the difficulty is this: it's not a methodology or technology that has been widely validated by research, and so it's sort of looked at as kind of on the fringe and not as respected as it deserves to be, in my opinion and many other people's opinion. Then in order to get it out there so more people use it and benefit from these technologies, because basically what the Research and Recognition Project goal is to do good, hard scientific research on NLP technologies in order to demonstrate how they could be helpful to many people with many different types of problems. And if that research is done, then it'll be more accepted, and so it will accomplish part of our goal of getting those technologies out there so they're more broadly used, because they are very powerful, as you know, to help a lot more people. You know, so that's one component of the question.
Okay.
You know, why should NLP practitioners care? What our feeling is how this would be beneficial to practitioners of NLP, people who are already out there doing it, is it would really expand the people who had interest in NLP. If it's established as a valid, scientifically evidence-based technology, then people are going to really want to get some of their issues treated and some of those things done with NLP. So as we see it, getting it validated scientifically is going to be broadly helpful to people who are practicing NLP already, because more people are going to be interested in it. It's going to raise the level of credibility, and it's going to put it on a lot of people's maps who right now it's not on their maps as a treatment option. It's just, at this point in a lot of people's minds, it's just one of those kind of fringe areas, or one of those alternative methods that certainly a lot of people know it works, but it's not as broadly accepted as a useful change technology.
Well, certainly, I mean, I don't know what it's like in the States, but in the UK, in some cases there's a real image problem. Where
Absolutely.
you mention NLP and people just go, I mean, where I work with psychotherapists, they just roll their eyes when I first turned up, you know. And has there been any research previously about this that's documented in any way that you can draw on, or are you literally starting from scratch?
No, I don't think we're completely starting from scratch. I think there's a lot of scholarly work that hasn't been done either. I mean, there is some research that exists related to NLP. There's some good, not necessarily methodologically good, but there's definitely some data out there that's supportive of NLP and some of the interventions, but they haven't done the good controlled research, and there hasn't even been enough of that basic exploratory research done. You know, so, I mean, on the website we have a bibliography of a lot of the research that has been done in NLP. I mean, part of the problem too is when NLP first came out, you know, in the late 70s and early 80s, and it did get some research attention, but often really it was some things that aren't the critical elements of NLP that often got researched, plus they were often researched without, you know, the scientific skill or the, you know, expertise that could show some effects of some of those areas. But so a lot of the research haven't been focused very well. And a lot of NLPers are just independent mavericks. The founders of NLP weren't very supportive of having research done, and at times tended to diss the status quo and the establishment. So they kind of set up a way that NLP kind of got shunned from the from the outset. Because as I see NLP, it's an extension of many methods that have already been found to be effective, such as cognitive behavioral models. But from my experience and from other people who work with NLP, yourself as well, certainly NLP has methods and technologies that are much more effective than the basic cognitive behavioral interventions. And I see NLP as an extension, really looking at cognition in a fuller spectrum way.
Yeah.
And the link hasn't been made to, well, NLP isn't that foreign, it's not that far away from some of the things that are done, but it focuses on different components that help people change more effectively.
Yeah, and I think, I remind people that rapport did exist before 1975. Sensory awareness did exist before the 70s, and without the influences of certainly Milton, Bateson, Satir, Erickson, and Farrelly's of this world, then there wouldn't be source material to draw on, to model, and to create things.
Right.
I mean, for me, the question, why I think what you guys are doing is really interesting and valid, is that it's looking to take this in a bigger way and say, okay, let's put our cards on the table and let's see what can be done substantively, rather than endlessly talking about things.
Yeah, absolutely, because that's, a lot of people have a lot of grand ideas, and certainly NLP sometimes doesn't do itself favors because of the way some people phrase it or present it. Becomes more of a marketing thing and an instant cure type of thing. And I think that's one of the negative stereotypes that it has. And it's different in different parts of the world. I mean, there's a lot more, NLPT, NLP for psychotherapists, or for doing psychotherapy, and that's a much more respected field in some parts of Europe, which is different also than where it's at in the United States. So there's actually been more progress in getting the recognition that NLP deserves in quite a few countries of the world as compared to the United States. So.
And who's been most supportive of your efforts so far?
It's the amount of support within the kind of higher ups or the movers and shakers in the NLP community has been impressive. I mean, if you look at the website, the trustees are Steve Andreas and Connie Ray Andreas and Judy Delosier. Robert Diltz is very supportive of it. Tim Holbaum, Richard Bolstad, Shelley Charvet. I mean, this is just a short list of people who have made progress in the thinking and moving forward of NLP over the years, who are supportive of this project and its goals and the mission to do good clinical research on NLP, and also to work to have it recognized more as a technology that could be helpful to people in a lot of different ways to improve their lives.